I'm going to show you how this challenger player got this CS farming lead over another challenger jungler using this advanced jungle pathing hitherto undreamt of. And I'm going to show you how he's been abusing this item to climb, as he's probably the rank 1 Hecarim in the world. And actually, he is literally. He might not always have the best win rate and always show up on those cheap websites, but he does have an obscene amount of games played every single year on his main and his Smurf, and he has been challenging with Hecarim since Season 8, regardless of the type of meta. No other horse player can claim this outright, and he does it all on the Korean server. So my friends, this is a guy with multi-million points on Hecarim, multi-challenger seasons, and we're going to look at exactly how he climbs when he wants to. But first, let's ask a question about counter jungling. Which one of these 3 things do you think is more important when looking to go counter jungling? Laner priority, enemy jungler location, knowledge of vision in the area, or simply tracking through your advanced brain function? If you said, wait a second, isn't all of the above, then yes, you'd be correct, it is in fact all of the above. But what allows you to get such a big CS lead over another high elo jungler is how you bring them together, and then you remain anonymous to other junglers who know how to track you equally as well. But you do it better because you're the rank 1 Hecarim in the world. But before we investigate how he made this executive decision, Ross has a message.
Have you ever wondered why my physique is so amazing? And why Blue Cane is so small? That's because Rost orders from HelloFresh. A food delivery service with foolproof step-by-step recipes means that you can have a joyful cooking experience and a stress-free end-of-season grind. Using HelloFresh means you only need to be in the kitchen for around 30 minutes. More time to grind those valuable solo queue games and choosing the right form. And if you want to look like Rost, HelloFresh has fit and wholesome recipes that make it easy to eat well without sacrificing the flavor, so you can maintain your goals and feel good about your food choices. Not only is HelloFresh 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant or grocery shopping, but it is the first carbon-neutral meal kit company that includes pre-proportioned ingredients. That means less prep for you and less wasted food. Less emissions, better proportions, better ratios, saving you time, money, and stress so you can focus on solo queue and living life. And of course, looking like me. Use my link below or go to HelloFresh.com and use the code in your screen now for 65% off plus free shipping on your first box. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Let's see if we can get 100 of you who want to be like Rost.
And we will do the Umbral Glaive game second. I wanted to talk about this pathing here because the amount, when you have a 30-40 CS lead of an enemy jungler early, something weird has to happen, or something beautiful, or something weirdly beautiful. Hitherto undreamt of, as Dr. Strange would say. We are going from our blue to our Grump, correct? We're getting a leash for the enemy Kiana on this red, which we track because we ping it. This guy's pathing isn't like any other Hecarim's pathing that you know. This guy will not always go for full clears blindly. If he sees a gank or something that he can do and cut his clear to a 4 camper, a 3 camper, it doesn't matter. He will do it. And sometimes it just honestly feels like his clears are totally random. His pathing is totally random and it doesn't make any sense. But if you're challenger since Season 8, using this one champion regardless of the state of the champion, you probably are seeing things that the rest of us are not, and he does stream, so I will leave a link below. And I don't always pause it when these things happen, but I have to for the context of this video. You see our set mid with a bit of prior over the Silas has decided to move into the Raptor zone here, checks and makes sure that those have been despawned. So we know that the Kiana at this point has done red, Raptors, and most likely now will look Grump and go to the top side. So what Gwen does is she wards because she knows, okay, look, this information's been given, I've processed it like a human being, and I'm trading with the AA truck, so I'm going to ward to avoid some diseases. Now, the Kiana should have seen this. Now, I don't think she did. She's going to go ahead and straight up look for this gank. She's going to flash root, get that stun, get the first blood. Now, with that gank done, look at this. The Hecarim, before he even sees her on the map, has already left his Raptor camp and knows this is exactly what she's going to want to do. If this isn't what she's going to want to do, then she's most likely doing her blue and her wolves, in which case we can invaded. However, because when you look at your top laner like this, you're like, wow, that's obvious. And any sane jungler would gank it. So we press play. He's already moving into counter ganking position. She's scanning. So he knows, she doesn't have a ward to place. We were tracking them level 1. I know that this isn't warded because I was watching the Aatrox being shoved in, so he didn't move down to ward either. I'm going to move back into her jungle, use my warding totem to ward her blue. So what the Hecarim does is he moves into her blue side jungle, wards it with the warding totem, and as I said, I like keeping the warding totem early, and does the wolf camp under her nose. This level of counter jungling, when you can track, react, predict all together, this is when you get these sneaky camps, and they never expect it. You go down to your wolves and you're like, wait, where was he? Now the Hecarim finishes that, sees her and says, hey, let me charge up my E here, can activate my W, and now I'm going to keep auto-attacking and swooping you with my Q spam, and you force her to get low, force her to smite, and then you outsmite her to finish it, and you just chase her down a little bit. Here we go, nice little swoop again, boom. Exquisite tracking, prediction, counter jungling, and then collapse on the invade. From this, we take this Scuttle Crab. Now, what would most of you do in this particular situation? Fall back to this, give yourself some horse treats, go back to base, Kiana ganks bot lane, you say, guys, we know she was going to the bottom side, how could you die to this? Not the rank 1 Hecarim in the world. He decides he's gonna finish up doing the Scuttle Crab, and he's gonna jettison himself across the mid lane. Sylas hath died to the set already, and now he's like, well, you know what, excuse me sir, I just want level 4, can we avoid any fistings? And he says, you know what sir, just for this, I will avoid any fistings because I have some important business to do in the bottom side of the river, and that is a Scuttle Crab. A nerf Scuttle Crab, but a Scuttle Crab nonetheless. Great, so now we know that the Kiana has taken this, lost this. She's also only taken this and this on the bottom side, which means when she comes to the bottom side here, she's only going to have this to take. So we know straight up, and I clicked there before I said it, she's on this. That's the only camp she can possibly do. And what happens is the Hecarim now leaves his base here, knows that the Kiana is going to be this. We have the pings. She's going to go to second tier Raptor spawn because she's almost going to have to, or she's going to try and gank this lane before she does. Those are the only two options that she has. She could now decide, hey, let me counter jungle on the Hecarim side, or do I just sequence up and potentially just try and gank top lane again? So what the Hecarim says is, okay, look, you know what? I know you don't have the prio nor the guts to try and invade me here because you don't know what I'm doing. You know I went down to take this. I could have, for all you've known, fallen back to these camps, right? As long as the timing works. So what he does is he goes back to base, buys his Ionian Boots of Jungling, does his red buff finally. Also, we already had a red buff from her, so we didn't need to take ours. We want to stretch the duration out as much as possible. Fall back to his Raptors. And now with Sylas in this particular situation, we see, wait a second, it really should not be available, should it? Because in theory, she should have done this into this. Well, that can only leave one possible explanation. She's either going all the way to the top lane for some sneaky, or she's down here. We don't know exactly until she shows, but the Hecarim knows that she made one of those decisions. And because she did, he'll take her Raptor camp. Now she's going to fall back into her Raptor camp side here, thinking Hecarim's probably on the top side by this stage, and she's going to be very shocked to find out that there is in fact nothing. So what he does is say, if I go topside now, which you shouldn't, she might decide to counter jungle me here. So what I'm going to do is take my wolves, and while he will do his wolves here, she shows up and goes, oh, well, that's saddening. And now you're looking at it, 46 to 16 CS. He could make that 50 and 54. She could try and do this, die, make a mistake, and 54 to 16 CS lead is possible. But a good jungler understands first and foremost, we must impact lanes, and he is one of said junglers who understands that greatly. Down to the bottom lane we go! Half HP Galio, half mana, flashes in for some particular reason. Of course, he wants to kill the enemy Kai'Sa. We have a lower HP, who is the Xayah, that's right. We're just gonna turbo stomp here, hit a nice E, we'll just keep the Q spam going, obviously use your W intelligently, swoop-de swoop, doop-de-doop, and down she goes. So 46 CS to 16 CS, and guess what? She did actually die. I forgot and didn't actually check if she died in that gank, but she did. So now we have a 48 to 16 CS lead. All right, she's gonna come back on the map here. At this stage, for the Hecarim, where do you think she's gonna go next? At this, she could go to the top side and take these tier 2 camps, which I think is, there you go, we see it. That makes the most sense because you know that Hecarim is patrolling this zone and took this. And there's no reason to go down here just for the Krog camp, specifically when your bottom lane is dead. So this is the safe zone for the Kiana. So what he does from this is say, okay, look, I'm gonna take my Gromp, my Wolves, and this RNG Scuttle, which is hugely valuable. My Raptors haven't yet spawned, but they will be up very, very soon. And then he can translate this play to even more advantages, such as stealing her red. All the while, she'll probably look to go topside, and maybe she'll get this, but she decides to hold mid lane. So the guy's 56 CS to 27. Obviously, it will close up a little bit. You know, the Cordian has done this, and now we're going to go back down again. That is normal. But what is she going to do here? As long as he gets a smite, he just ults in to fear her to get that smite off. And now he's just going to chase her down. She knocks her back, but we do have to watch the Sylas. Can we get a kill? Well, as we say in the business, tragic. Of maximum scale. Unlucky. Should have been a dead Kiana. And then we can get even more CS lead, and then we can take a Hextech Dragon, then we can just do the fistings, and then our ADC's dying 2v1 because our support roamed, and now she spam pings him and says, where were you? Sound about right? Absolutely hugely brilliant tracking, understanding of buffs, understanding of what they want to do, what I want to do, what's the best thing for a jungler to do. Huge lead for our jungler here. The game does end up being a lot closer through regular throws and so on, but the most important thing is the guy ends up winning the game as like 9 CS PM because that's what he can do here. The Kiana will be able to cheese gank and do Kiana things. He can't always match it. You can't always keep that deficit. But as you're seeing now, 68 CS to 31 CS, that's still astronomically huge, you know, and while that might stick around 30 to 40 CS lead, it won't really grow too much bigger until you get to pushing waves and so on. He does like to push his luck a little bit. Like, we know she's on the blue here. He just runs at her with a Sheen, with a Kindle Gem, but his top has, Kiana's top has prize, so Aatrox is coming down. Silas is also here as well. There's not a lot you can do in this particular situation. Actually, I lied. That's not Silas, it's Galio. Whatever. The Marcian-based champion has arrived, so he will bite off more than he can chew and give shutdowns, which is costly, but he doesn't die too much, and he likes to push the limits of what's possible in games. Then you can see he more than makes up for that death with a bunch of doubles and singles and free dragons, and he keeps that pressure up so that 30-40 CS lead he gets, he maintains, even if the enemy jungler steps it up. So if you make a mistake against this guy, counter jungling, he will just slide into your jungle unseen because he knows what you want to do before you do. He also knows what he wants to do, and he's Hecarim so he can beat you 1v1. Powerful stuff. Let's have a look at what this Umbral Glaive tech is though, in addition to his beautiful tracking and path. Umbral Glaive gives him a low cost lethality item with huge spike and obscene vision control, great against Nidleys, great against Graveses, and great against basically anyone and any elo who just wants to keep the map dark. I mean, there's nothing better than having a silver support finally buy controlled and you just walk up and two-tap it. Or finally, the mid laner decides to ward and you walk up and just one-hit it. And now they're like, well, they see there's no point in warding, the guy's just going to clear it. And essentially, that's just it. It uses the prime lethality spike that we like from the Duskblade as well as the Eclipse because best in slot items for someone who now scales directly with doing more damage. He needs bonus AD to do damage. That does leave you highly squishy. Most people who play these builds end up being dead and useless and ridiculous. So what he likes to do, and he doesn't always build full damage, he likes to have enough damage to deal with the team comp he's against, and then he fuses that with whatever the hell else he needs to deal with the enemy comp. So, which means once you finish that Umbral Glaive, you have that damage spike, you go into the chem tank, and you're seeing different clips of different item spikes in different game states, showcasing how potent, one, the Umbral Glaive can be in isolation, two, how potent the Umbral Glaive is with chem tank, and then when we finish with that, you're going to see 3 item spikes using the Umbral Glaive, chem tank, and Umbral Glaive, chem tank, and Muramana. I didn't really want to cover a whole game state because he plays the same way as we would have seen in the first game. The difference is obviously that itemization in fights and how he uses it just to climb in what for him is low elo. Once he gets to high GM Challenger, he swaps back to more Divine Sundra chem tank focused builds. But when he was climbing through Diamond 1 into Master Tier into Grandmaster, this is the build he used pretty damn frequently. And as you would have seen from all the different maps, if you're paying attention to that kind of stuff, plus the gold amounts, clips from when he was winning the game, clips from when he was losing the game, using those itemization spikes, showcasing the damage profile and the tankiness profile when fused with phase rush, chem tank accessibility, and just raw brutal damage and sustain. Combine that with your brilliantly beautiful jungle pathing, tracking, and savant level counter jungling, then you're pretty much equipped to do basically anything. But if you don't play Hecarim and you play any other jungler, that first game showcases just how smart you can and have to be in order to shut down enemy junglers. And guess what? You can do it as well. And if you want help in guiding your pathing to do just that, the video in your box in your top right will really help.